After we talked a lot about Yaoguang in the last video, so it would feel less if I didn't discuss other ELATION characters that were also released in version 4.0. Who else if not another version of Sparkle, namely Sparxie, who has a cute and funny appearance. Sparxie has a fire type with an ELATION path. Unlike Yaoguang, who has a role as a support, Sparxie has a role as a main DPS of the ELATION path. In general, she has a similar mechanism to Archer or Danheng IL, where both use a large number of skill points to deal damage. But uniquely, the use of skill points from Sparxie has almost no limits, allowing her to deal very massive damage, guys. So will the presence of Sparxie in version 4.0 bring a new team composition that can compete with the current meta team? Without further ado, I'm Hoyostation and we will go straight into the full Kit of Sparxie version 4.0. Let's do this. Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough stellar jades? Here is a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and honkaistarrail. Look no further than Lootbar. Lootbar is the most reliable top-up platform. It saves up to 23% for all orders compared with the official channel, and it provides an 80% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy pack for 30,000 stellar jades for $42, which otherwise would have costed $50, totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in the less than 3 minutes. All recharges will be done through the official channel with miHoyo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. In the first part, I will first discuss her skill called Boom, Sparxicle is Poppin'. This skill is an enhanced type that will make Sparxie do a live stream. This skill will strengthen her basic attack to Bloom, winner takes all, and triggers engagement farming for one time. During this ability, engagement farming can be triggered up to a maximum of 20 times, and using this skill will not be considered as using a skill. As for engagement farming, it will increase the damage multiplier that will be unleashed on one enemy by 40% and 20% for 2 targets around the main target. In addition, Sparxie will also get random gifts between these two. First, Straight Fire will give 2 punchline points and 2 skill points, or second, Unreal Banger will give 1 punchline point. Well, the effect of this skill is similar to Archer's skill called Keltbog 2, Fake Spiral Sword, where both can use the skill repeatedly without ending their turns. The difference is every time Sparxie uses skill points to launch engagement farming, it not only increases the damage it will do, but also gets additional rewards. But the rewards you get here purely random, so the damage done will also be different each time, depending on how lucky we are to get Straight Fire to get skill points that can be used to launch engagement farming repeatedly. But don't worry, because we can outsmart this by bringing characters who can recover a large number of skill points, such as Sparkle, which will get buffs in the upcoming version. If we do a little calculation, by using a maximum of 20 times engagement farming, if we're lucky enough, we can get a total of 800% damage multiplier for one target and 400% for 2 targets around them. Of course, this number has not been added to the original damage multiplier of her enhanced basic attack. Of course, with this mechanic, teammates like Sparkle who also get buffs in the upcoming version will be a suitable character for Sparxie. Next, we will talk a little about enhanced basic attack, Bloom, winner takes all. This basic attack will end the live stream and give 100% Sparxie fire damage to one enemy and 50% fire damage to 2 nearby enemies. This basic attack certainly has a very crucial role for her kit, where if we add the maximum total damage multiplier that can be obtained through engagement farming, we can get a total fire damage of 900% of the Sparxie's attack to one enemy, and fire damage of 450% of the Sparxie's attack to 2 surrounding enemies. Although it will be quite difficult for us to get the maximum limit, at least we have the potential to get 10 to 15 points if we use Sparkle and also get Straight Fire on gifts obtained through engagement farming. Now let's move on to her ultimate part, Paradise Wilding and Cameras Rolling. This ultimate will give 2 punchline points and deal fire damage of 0.6 times elation plus 50% of Sparxie's attack to all enemies. Well, this ultimate has quite unique calculation guys, where it combines 3 stats, namely raw score, elation, and also Sparxie's attack. But we don't need to worry about the source of this damage, because Sparxie will convert attack points into elation through her trace. So by just increasing attack points, this ultimate will get an increase in attack as well as elation. Let's discuss her talent called Kit of Sparxie. This talent provides an explanation of what effect Sparxie gets through the certified banger state given by AHA. Each time you use enhanced basic attack, it will give 20% fire elation damage to one enemy and 10% fire elation damage to 2 nearby enemies. In addition, each time engagement farming is triggered, enhanced basic attack will give 1 additional fire elation damage of 18% to random enemies. Then the ultimate will also give fire elation damage of 48% to all enemies. Well, with the effect of her talent, the damage from her enhanced basic attack and ultimate will be strengthened quite drastically, considering that the amount of damage dealt will be much bigger, thanks to the additional fire elation damage from each engagement farming that is launched. Also, keep in mind that the certified banger state can be consistently active, because AHA has its own turn that can't be bothered by crowd control or other effects. This will make this talent always active, so that it deals maximum damage. Okay, in the technique section, namely content monetization, it will make enemies in the area affected by the block for 10 seconds. Enemies affected by the block cannot detect the target of teammates. Then, when entering battle by attacking the enemy that is hit by a block, it will deal fire damage to all enemies by 50% of Sparxie's attack and recover 2 skill points. The effect of this technique is absolutely good for exploration, since we can make enemies ignore us, so we can do exploration without fear of being disturbed by enemies. Then during battle, the recovery of 2 skill points will be very helpful at the beginning of the game. Of course, with this effect, we can get skill rotation of the team even better guys. Next, we will enter into her elation skill called Signal Overflow, the Great Encore. This skill will give 50% fire elation damage to all enemies. Then deal 20 hit fire elation damage of 22% to one enemy at random. For every 10 punchlines counted at the time of triggering the elation skill, Sparxie will gain 1 thrill, up to a maximum of 20 punchlines that can be counted. A maximum of 4 thrills at a time can be used as additional skill points that are specifically used for Sparxie. Consuming thrills will be considered consuming skill points. So based on her kit, even though we can have up to a maximum of 4 thrills at a time, Sparxie can only get a maximum of 2 thrills in one elation skill by having at least 20 punchlines. So we can get 4 thrills at once through other effects such as the ultimate of Yaoguang, which will make AHA action, thus triggering 1 more elation skill from team members. Her elation skill is very useful for Sparxie to maximize the damage from her enhanced basic attack. This additional skill point will really help her get a large amount of engagement farming, so we can launch deadly attacks on enemies. Honestly, from several showcases that have been circulating, the damage from her enhanced basic attack can deal quite massive damage, which is around 1 million damage even when there's only one enemy. Very interesting, right? Okay, now we will move on to the equally interesting part of her kit, namely in the traces section. For her minor trace, Sparxie will get a very good stats bonus for a DPS role, namely a critical damage of 32.3%, elation of 18%, and a critical rate of 6.7%. With this, Sparxie already has a very high base critical value, so it will be easier for us to build characters later. For the stat elation obtained, it will be very useful to increase all damage output generated through fire elation damage, so this stat also has a very high value for now. Now we are going to get into the first trace, Sweet Punchline Signing, For every 100 attack points belonging to Sparxie that exceeds 2000 points, it will increase her elation by 4% to a maximum limit of 80%. If we do the calculations, to get an 80% increase in elation, we need attack points of at least 4000 points to get a total of 80% elation. Of course, this is quite difficult for us to achieve with less proper relic and lightcon stats. For the second trace, Dazzling Kaleidoscope Persona, when there are 1, 2, 3 or more elation characters in the team, Sparxie's ultimate will give an additional 2 to 8 punchlines. So based on the description, the effect of her second trace will depend greatly on the composition of Sparxie team in the future. For version 4.0, we can only maximize the effect of 2 elations in the team, because Yaoguang and Sparxie are only playable as characters with elation path. In the future, we will definitely play with at least 3 elations to be able to maximize the effect of her second trace, guys. Then for the third trace of Frenzy, Palette of Truth and Lies. For every 1 punchline currently owned, increases the critical damage of all teammates by 4% to a maximum of 40%. The effect of this trace is a buff effect that is very useful, whether it's for Sparxie or other teammates who can contribute damage like Yaoguang. By having just 10 punchlines, we can already get 40% critical damage directly in a way that is quite easy for elation characters. From here alone, Sparxie already has an initial critical damage of 127.3% through her base critical damage, minor trace, and also the effect of the third trace. Of course, this will make it easier for Sparxie to have critical damage at 200% and above. It doesn't feel like we've reached the end of her kit, which is the Eidolon part. For the first Eidolon, going viral, who is she? This Eidolon will give an additional 5 punchlines after the AHA instant ends. And for every 1 punchline you have, it will give an all-type resistant penetration for all team members by 1.5% to a maximum of 15%. This all-type resistant penetration effect will increase the damage output of all team members. Keep in mind that we only need 10 punchlines to be able to maximize the effect of this Eidolon. Coupled with the addition of 5 punchlines, makes it easier for us to have a large number of punchlines, guys. For the second Eidolon, Audience Knows. After the AHA instant ends, Sparxie will get 1 extra turn and 2 thrills. Then every time a thrill is used, it will increase her critical damage by 10% for 2 turns. This effect can be stacked up to 4 times. This Eidolon has a very interesting effect, where we will get an additional turn that allows Sparxie to launch attacks again without having to wait for her turn first. So the damage output produced will be higher. In addition, she will get another total of 40% critical damage if she can consume 4 thrills to launch engagement farming. In my personal opinion, this Eidolon is interesting to consider if you intend to invest more in Sparxie. Next, for the fourth Eidolon, Locked In Face Card. Each use of the ultimate will give 5 additional punchline points and increase elation by 25% over 2 turns. Although this Eidolon has a very simple effect, it has a considerable impact on all the elation damage produced. This 25% increase in elation will be very useful for her elation skills and also the effect of her certified banger. Finally, for the sixth Eidolon, Build Different, Going Extinct. Sparxie's all-type resistant penetration will increase by 20%. For every 1 punchline owned, the elation skill gets an additional bounce damage up to a maximum of 30 bounces. Honestly, the effect of this Eidolon is very good, where this 30 additional bounce damage will have a really high impact, which is to make the total bounce to 50 times. This will certainly give more than 2 times the additional damage through her elation skill. But you need to remember that to get the effect of this Eidolon, it's not easy, especially for those of us who are not whalers and are free-to-play players. Finally, we get to the end of this video, which is her signature lightcon part, Dazzled by a Flowery World. This lightcon will increase the user's critical damage by 36%. For other effects, when the user is in the field, each elation character in the team will increase the maximum limit from skill points by 1 to a maximum of 3 points. For every 1 skill point consumed, it will cause this character's damage elation to ignore 5% of enemy defense, and increase the elation damage of all team members by 5%. This effect can be stacked up to 4 times, and the same light cone effect cannot be stacked. This light cone has a nice effect and is suitable for Sparxie. This will make it much easier for her to get high critical damage. In addition, the elation damage of Sparxie that can ignore up to 20% of enemy defense will increase the damage of Sparxie again, since each enemy must have defense point. Then for an increase in elation of 20% for all team members, not only makes your Sparxie stronger, but all members of your elation team as well. So that the more elation characters are paired with Sparxie, the effect of this light cone will be also felt. Okay guys, maybe that's all for now. What do you think about Sparxie? Do you intend to take on this character in version 4.0? Please type in the comments down below and don't forget to check out my other videos because they are no less cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.